Welcome back to the Hendricks Heartbeat. This is Fred Schmidt, your moderator. We're here with Paul, Chet, Lisa, and Tom. Here in Hendricks, Minnesota, we are faced with an aging population. Our kids and adults of working age move to bigger cities for better opportunity. A trend that is turning many smaller towns like ours into ghost towns. Can we change the trend here in Hendricks, and how? Take that one on.
I think it's already changing. I moved back
You're
here.
an example of it.
You guys moved here.
That's true. That's true.
You know, I think that as we all, when we graduated here, we all wanted to get out of here and go somewhere else. And 15 years ago, I would have laughed at moving back here. No, I wouldn't come back here. What's there? But then as you grow older and you start having a family, things change. You all of a sudden look back at that, you know, it's a better way of life. Small town, it's less expensive to live there, small schools, better education, and with technology now, the opportunity to run a business in a small community like this is totally there from where it was 15 years ago. You just couldn't do it.
Right.
You know, it was barely dial-up internet back then. Now we're voice over IP, and I'm running my business from here. It's like I'm sitting in the office in Fargo. Nobody knows the difference. I think this trend can continue.
This is maybe about 2 or 3 weeks ago. I was at a little session in another town where a fellow from the University of Minnesota up in Morris was giving a presentation, and he was pointing to some of the statistics that he'd examined for smaller counties around the state, and was seeing some of that pattern that, yes, young people, it's in the genes for young people. You want to get out, get away, go do something. But in the statistics that this fellow has looked at, he sees a sizable number of young people when they get into their 30s, late 30s, thereabout, that are maybe not returning to their own hometown, but returning to smaller towns. And the point that he was making is that every community gets kind of challenged then by, okay, how do you make a place in your community for that returning age group? And sometimes that's not so easy, because in small towns, this is the way we've always done things.
Sure.
And sometimes you need to stop saying that and make room for some innovative people that can bring a lot to your community.
Yeah.
So there's an attitude. The older generation needs to kind of get past some of its attitude, I think.
Yeah, I've talked to people the last 9, 10 years all over the country, literally, and we always talked about where they live and where I live, and start comparing things, you know, versus Tampa, Florida, or here. And I tell them I can leave for a month, not lock either. That's not saying come rob my house now, but I leave the keys in the cars, and
Unlock us.
and that's priceless. You don't have to worry about violence with the kids. I mean, if you want, you could let them run around town, and
Yeah.
you can't beat small town living. Small town Minnesota, that's where it's at.
So should we be doing more to market these people?
Yes, we
Yes.
should. We should. I mean, and Paul hit the nail on the head here. I mean, the whole way of thinking sometimes gets pretty stagnant. Now, I think Hendricks, for being a small town, is pretty progressive, but it still needs to get more progressive. You know, we got a great lake, we got a great golf course, we got a great hospital, we've got several great business anchors in this community, so we have everything we need to keep it moving. Now it's just recognizing opportunity and bringing it here.
I also think that one of the things that gets missed is that it's almost an economic imperative at this point that people move back to smaller towns. Our home in Orlando, Florida would be $350,000 easily. Now we take an income cut to move here. You know, very, very, very much so. I mean, you've got to take a look at what you're purchasing and how much you're spending on it. However, you know, we can purchase our home here for $50,000 as opposed to $350,000. That makes the payments on the house a lot easier. And I think that that's one of the reasons that people in our age range are moving back, is that we're looking at the lifestyle that you can lead in bigger cities. And yes, you can make more money, but in the end, your standard of living is actually lower in a larger
You're gonna
city.
spend more in a bigger city, that's all there is to it. I mean,
Absolutely.
you got a $2,500 a month mortgage. Okay, now you got a $350 a month mortgage.
Right.
Well, you didn't cut your income, you know, by 70%, you know, you didn't do that.
Right.
So you are better off.
Yeah, you gotta keep making improvements, keep the taxes, so it is obviously cheap, because a lot of people are gonna have to commute to bigger towns, Marshall, Brookings, whatever. So you have to keep improving things, but also still keep the living standards, I mean, taxes and stuff in check.
Well, so I think that there's some keys there, though. In all of those statements, there's some keys. You have to I mean, as a small town, we have to market ourselves. And we have to market things like the availability of the internet, the fact that manufacturing here would actually be cheaper, even though you may not have a huge base of employees. The cost of land, the cost of living, you can bring your employees here. You know, and how are we marketing ourselves to small manufacturing companies, things like Daktronics? You know, companies that maybe are in the area that are looking to expand, but you look to expand even in towns the size of Brookings or Watertown. You're gonna spend a lot of money on land and taxes as a company. So what are we doing as a small town to market ourselves to these large, even the large banks in Sioux Falls?
That really is a challenge, I think, because anybody that's in their own business realize, sometimes you know, us at least, my business, sometimes you're not as good as you know you should be in terms of promotion and marketing. But if a business doesn't promote itself and market itself fast, and I really think this is something I know you've been interested in, Fred, this I think is something that communities have to do also, is find a way to get visible with people, particularly to try and attract them back to your town. Promotion and marketing for a community. The trouble is, that's a lot of work, and it can be, and some of us really aren't. Promotion is kind of a specialized thing, and you need to find some way to do that,
And
particularly bringing back some of these people.
And then you have to ask yourself, who in the town is responsible for doing that? I mean, how,
That's
you
right.
almost should have, a town, in my opinion, almost should have a marketing council member too, just like all the, especially in a small town like this. And you'd have your other positions, and then a marketing one too that can report to them, with some funding to them.
I think, myself, I think some of the most valuable pieces of information a community can have is a magical mailing list of graduates of your high school, of your school. Because those people, you know, will still have a connection with the community. They may have gone off to San Diego or Cleveland or someplace, but they may not want to live there forever and may not want to retire there. Somehow keeping in contact with these people keeps Hendricks in their eyesight. And I think you have a lot better opportunity to bring those people back if you're keeping in touch with them somehow.
Right.
Finding the way to do that is kind of the trick.